So hey guys, this is KMCers. I'm Kirsten and welcome back to another video. So today is episode 1 of our Spooky Saturday for Hallowhatever series. So let's just jump right into this first case. So we're going to be talking about a man named Peter Fabiano. He was 35 years old at the time, from Sun Valley, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. He was married to a woman named Betty who had 2 previous children from a previous marriage. He was described as he had served in the World War II, and he was the owner and hairstylist at a local salon. He did own 2 salons at this time. So let's jump right into the incident that happened. On Halloween night of October 31st of 1957 at around 11 p.m., the trick-or-treater rang the doorbell. At this time, Peter and Betty were getting ready for bed, and so Peter went downstairs to go give out the candy, but he was kind of a little growly about it, and he asked, "It's a little late for this, isn't it?" And when he opened the door, the killer ended up saying no and shot him. Betty heard the shot and ran down the stairs to find Peter on the ground, and the killer was completely gone. Betty's daughter, Judy Solomon, who was 15 at the time, called the police. Peter was taken to the hospital where he later died. Now let's talk about the investigation. Betty told police that she heard 2 voices, one male and one like a man interpreting a woman. Police started to look into Peter's history due to similarities of a gang hit. And in 1948, Peter was charged with a misdemeanor for working as a bookie. But ever since then, he cleaned up his act and he was completely clean. So they believed that he had nothing to do with this gang theory. So Betty was thinking about who would want to harm Peter, and the only person she could think of was a woman named Joan Rebel. Joan was a 40-year-old who started to work at Peter's salon and actually became very close to the family and actually very close to Betty. Betty and her actually became super close, that Betty told Joan that Peter had a dark side, that he was controlling and abusive. And because they were hanging out so much, Peter and Betty's marriage started to take a crumble. When this was happening, Betty decided to move out to live with Joan for a little bit to figure out what she wanted to do with her marriage. When they decided to get back together, Peter's request is that Betty cut off all contact with Joan. And Betty did exactly that. But because of this, Joan was super angry by this, because it was rumored that they were in a lesbian relationship. And she actually loved Betty, and so she was really angry by this. Police did question Joan, but they had to release her due to some lack of evidence. 2 weeks later, a gun was found in a storage locker in downtown LA. The gun was registered to 42-year-old lab assistant Golden Pizer. And on November 12th of 1957, Golden was arrested. During her interview, she said met Joan and that they became very close. She confessed that Joan manipulated her into shooting Peter. She said that she told me Mr. Fabiano was a vile, evil man a man who destroyed everything around him. He mistreated his wife and was dealing narcotics. There was no proof of any of that. So she also told the police that she bought the gun with money that Joan had given her, and that they drove past the Fabiano's home weeks before the murder even took place, so she would get an idea of who she was going after. Police then decided to arrest Joan. Joan, during her interview, completely silent, never admitted to anything, never stated anything. Okay, so Joan said that she met Golden and described their relationship as coffee friends. She said that she told Golden that Peter was an evil man, and during 3 months, Joan convinced Golden that they needed to kill Peter. Joan gave Golden the money to buy the gun, and she actually borrowed a friend's car for their getaway car. Joan also put Golden in a costume and gave her a paper bag with the gun inside. Golden ended up going up to Peter's and shot him one time and then ran to the car. When she got into the car, Joan kissed her and said thank you, and they drove off. They burned their clothes, they returned the car that they borrowed from a friend, and Joan told Golden that she needed to forget her and forget that she ever knew her. And then they parted ways. The next morning, Golden realized that Joan never told her what to do with the gun or how to get rid of it, so she went to downtown LA and bought a storage locker and stored the gun there. 2 weeks later, the detectives did find that gun and questioned Golden. Now let's talk about the trial. So the trial was set to begin in December of 1957. That is crazy that it was that quickly, especially because nowadays it seems like it takes forever to get a trial date for things. So the fact that it happened this quickly is crazy to me. But the judge ordered that a psychiatrist go and examine the girls because they were trying to put a plea in of not guilty, but due to insanity. And the psychiatrist ended up writing that Golden actually thought that she was saving her friend from an evil person. She didn't see that it was a bad thing. Golden, during her trial, she cried when she spoke of what happened to the jury, where Joan was actually just stone-faced and didn't show emotion at all, and actually was rumored to smile while leaving the courtroom one day. They were both charged with first-degree murder, but that was reduced to second-degree murder due to them taking a plea deal. And Joan and Goldie were sentenced to 5 years to life in prison. So now let's talk about the aftermath. It is unknown of how long they actually stayed in prison for. There is no record of any of that, so have no idea how long they were staying for. But I'm assuming it wasn't that long, considering that in 1958, Valley News Sun published an article criticizing leniency of local judges and prosecutors on criminals, and they referenced to the trick-or-treat murders, which is what this case is known as an example of women being treated softly in the courtroom. So I'm really kind of just assuming they didn't stick in prison that long, but I don't have any clue. So Golden ended up passing away in 1998 at the age of 83 in Los Angeles. Betty did sell the beauty salons and did get remarried in 1966. Betty did pass away in 1999 at the age of 81 in Palm Desert, California. Joan's life is very unknown of what happened after the prison sentence. She kind of just disappeared off the face of the earth. And at this point, I'm assuming she's also passed away. And then somebody did write this quote in an article, and I just really thought it was very interesting. So I'm going to leave it with this quote. So it says, "Most of us know what it is to love strongly, to go through infatuation, obsession, and surrender. Sometimes that sort of love twists itself up. Did Betty love Joan? Did the women ever reconnect? Did Betty play a role in her husband's murder? Sometimes the line between your thoughts and theirs fades away. When that happens, there is only one way to explain ourselves. I did it for her." So yeah, that's the case. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below what case I should do next, and subscribe so you are notified when we post every single spooky Saturday. This is KMCers, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.